Okay, so today we're going to be talking all about the Cobra firing system. And in front of me I have two modules and one remote. This is the scripted remote, but I'm going to talk about all the scripted features in another video. Since there's so many of them, I figured it deserves its own video. So we're going to cover all the basics today, and I'm going to kind of break it down into different parts. And then I'm actually going to include in the description kind of like a hyperlink to each of those parts. That way if you watch the video and then you want to come back and reference to a certain part of the video, don't want to watch the whole thing, you can skip to that part just by looking at the description. Okay, so just starting off, we're going to talk about a couple of the features. Both the remotes and the modules come with this 8.5-inch antenna, and it's adjustable. In other words, you can kind of bend it around. On the remote, it just kind of screws on right here. On the module, it screws in right here, and then if you have a case, the case has this wire that connects to the module, and then the antenna goes on the outside. Okay, so whenever you buy a module, this is the module. It'll come in this kind of this hard foam. You can use the module just like this, or you can put it inside this foam kind of as a protection, and you can use the module like this, or you can buy a armored case. Literally, this foam and the module drops directly into this armored case, and then it comes with a face plate which kind of goes over, protects it. You screw all these ends down. I'm not going to do it in the video, but you screw all those down to hold it in place, and then instead of plugging the antenna in right there, you plug in this wire that then changes the antenna to come out the side right here. And so the antenna has this little spot, let me show you, right here. And so you literally can just take that off, and you plug the antenna on the outside here. So you wire everything up, you have all these screwed down, they're not right now. Wire everything up, have it all screwed down, you can literally just close this, and then your module is protected. And that's great because this is a hard material, it's easy to wipe off, and then you know how anytime you shoot a show, there's going to be ash and everything everywhere. So this will kind of help protect your module. Okay, so now that we've talked about some of the basic stuff about the modules and the remote, now we're going to talk about the batteries. The remote is powered by 3 AA batteries, which you can see right here. You can use standard or rechargeable, it works with both. And the modules run off of 3 9-volt batteries, which you can see right here. And the cool thing about these batteries is they each have a different function. You can kind of see on the battery cover, it says 1P, which is this battery right here, powers operation. So it powers all the operations of the module, while these 2 batteries, which is 2P, are just used to fire the cues. The great thing about that is by having each of these batteries have a different job function, you're going to really preserve the life of the batteries, enabling you to fire multiple shows with just these batteries. And this one also does use you can use rechargeable batteries as well. Now, one thing I want to mention before we get into turning the system on is you can actually buy batteries off of Cobra Firing Systems website. You can see right here we got a pack of 12. I already got some in the module. And to buy a pack of 12 batteries like this is really cheap versus going to Walmart and buying them. I mean, it was literally like a fourth of the price to buy 12 Duracell batteries versus 4 batteries from Walmart. So that's just something to keep in mind whenever you're buying your system. Definitely make sure to pick up batteries while you're purchasing the system. Now that the batteries are in the system, we're ready to turn on our remote and module. But first off, I want to mention that the remote comes with this lanyard, which is meant to be worn around your neck, and then when you're ready to fire, it's got this detachable clip that you can detach the keys and turn on your remote. And then each module comes with its own set of keys, which I normally just leave into the module. So let's go ahead and turn them on. We're going to turn the module on to test, and we're going to turn the remote on normally. Once they boot up, I want to mention something. You'll notice that they both have a backlight. This one's a little bit harder to see in the light, but you can see how the buttons are lit up. You can easily turn that off by pressing the light button, or if you'd like to adjust the brightness of that backlight, you just hold down the light button and it'll slowly start to get dimmer. See that? And it goes bright again. Okay. Now, when you're turning on your remote and module, there's a couple things you'll notice displayed right here. I want you guys to watch it as I turn it on again. So watch right here. A10, 1P8, 2P9, TST. Okay, watch that one more time. A10, 1P8, 2P9, TST. What that is saying is A10 is the module number or identification. I believe this one is 7. Let's turn that on and find out. Okay, you guys watch right here. A07, okay? We're going to come back to what that means a little later, or why that's useful a little later. So the second thing we saw was 1P8 and 2P9. What that is telling you is that the power level of this battery is at a power level 8. 9 is the max. These two are at power level 9, which is the max. And then that last thing you're seeing is TST. And basically what that means, you'll see it right there. What that means is that the system is running a self-test to make sure that everything's properly functioning. That way you do not run the risk of accidentally firing something when you turn it on. So that's a great safety feature. So now that the power is on, we have to sync our remote and modules together. In order to do this, it's really simple. You'll notice right here, there's a sync button, and same thing on the module, there's a sync button. All you have to do is you have to hold these two buttons down. And you hold it down for a couple seconds, and then you'll notice them blink 3 times. Just like that. So now your remote and your module are synced together. Here shortly after it gets done restarting, you'll notice it'll start to blink, and you can see this one is already blinking. See how it's starting to blink now? That means that they're constantly sending a signal to each other and they're synced together. So why is it important to sync your remote to your module? It's really important because if you ever go to a shoot, there's going to be a lot of people that probably have a Cobra, and you don't want your remote to be firing their modules or vice versa. It's very similar to an Xbox controller. You know, if you ever go to your friend's house, you take your Xbox controller and you want to play on his Xbox, you have to sync the controller to his Xbox. And if you don't do that, and if your Xbox is in close enough range, you might accidentally turn it on in the other room or the house next door. So it's very important that you sync each module to the remote. And it doesn't stay that way. You can easily just change it anytime you want to. Like I said, all you do is push and hold for a couple seconds and you're ready to rock. So now that our modules are synced to our remote, it's time to test continuity. You'll notice in module 1 or channel 1, I have 1 Q hooked up, and on module 2 or channel 2, I have 2 Qs hooked up. So in order to test continuity, you can do that directly from the remote simply by holding down the test button. You'll notice that the light for Q1 turned on, insinuating I have continuity on Q1. You do the same thing over here, you hold test, you'll notice 2 lights turned on because I have 2 Qs hooked up. You can also check right from your remote. You'll see that on channel 1, I have 1 Q hooked up. We go up to channel 2, you notice I have 2 Qs hooked up, okay? So what if the modules are on the same channel? Let's go ahead and turn this module to channel 2. Now these two modules are on the same channel. Now let's look at our remote. You'll notice that Q1 is lit up and Q2 is blinking. That means that both modules are fine for Q1, one module has a problem for Q2. Well, we can actually find out directly from the remote. Remember earlier I told you about the A and the some number? Well, that number is actually the identity of whichever module. And I resynced it so it actually changed. But if you press the test button here, you'll notice that the module says right here A03. And this one you test it, it says A04. So from our remote, we're testing continuity. I can press test and it goes to A03, which is this module. You can see I have 1 Q. If we go to A04, we have 2 Qs. So by cycling through this, I'm just going to cycle through it for a little bit. Cycling through this, you can tell which module has the problem. So that way you can go and fix it without having to check every single module. Okay? So one last thing I forgot to mention is that you can actually have up to 100 channels. You notice channel 00 all the way to channel 99. And you can actually have 100 modules, which would be 1,800 unique Qs, and you can easily put multiple modules on the same channel. So the possibilities are absolutely endless. And on top of that, you can actually put up to 4 igniters or Ematches wired up in parallel or 10 in series. So if you're looking to get a system and you don't have the money to buy 2 or 3 modules, you can easily buy one module, have 18 Qs, wire up 4 igniters per queue and have one heck of a show. Even with 18 queues, you can make one heck of a show. So this really is the perfect system for anyone from the backyard pyro to the professional. So the next thing we're going to check is signal strength. It's very easy to do this, and you can check it directly from your remote or from your module simply by pressing the sync button. You'll notice right here there's going to be a number displayed between 0 and negative 99. So let's go ahead and push it a couple times. You'll notice I'm constantly getting about negative 20. Now if we go to the remote, we can do the exact same thing. You see we're right around negative 20 again. As long as that number displayed is between 0 and negative 70, it's a guarantee one push fire. Once that number gets higher than negative 70, that's when you run the risk of not being able to fire a queue by just pressing it once. So it is recommended, once you're higher than negative 70, to push and hold for a little bit to ensure that that queue gets fired. Now obviously whenever you're setting up your show, it's probably better to elevate your module, preferably on like a 5-gallon bucket, just to increase signal strength a little bit. And obviously you're going to lose signal strength if there's a hill, a building, or any other objects that might be in the way between your modules and your remotes. So before you fire a show, you have to set your modules to what they are firing. And what I mean by that is if you're firing consumer igniters or if you're firing Ematch, you have to set these modules to what they're firing. And it's really easy to do. All you have to do is hold sync and press channel up or channel down. So hold sync, press channel up. You'll notice it displays 2.0, which is for consumer igniters. You hold sync, press channel down. It displays 0.1 or a tenth of a second for Ematch. You can do the same thing with this one. I have both mine set on 2.0 because I'm going to be firing consumer igniters. So now that we've set our modules to fire consumer igniters or Ematch, we've tested continuity, we've tested signal strength, everything's hooked up, we're ready to go. First off, you got to make sure your modules are in ARM. You can see I've already turned mine to ARM on both of these, but you will notice that they are still in the test phase, or the test light. And that is because my remote is in the test phase. The great thing about this system is you can turn it to ARM, have it all set up, turn to ARM, go enjoy the festivities, have some food, and when you're ready to fire, you don't have to go back to your modules. They're already in ARM. As soon as you turn your remote to ARM, you'll notice that the modules both kicked into ARM, and now you're ready to fire. Now one more thing, whenever you set your module to ARM, you'll notice right here, it's going to display a number, all right? 2. That number is how many modules you have in ARM. That's very important because what if you have 10 modules, it's displaying 9. That means you forgot to turn one module to ARM, and you better go do that before you start firing your show. So, like I said, we have 2 modules, both of them ready to go. It's time to start firing. Now, obviously I don't have anything hooked up because we're inside, but I'm going to show you guys the couple firing modes that this remote has. It actually has 4. It has manual, sequence fire or auto fire, step fire, and scripted fire. We're not going to talk about scripted fire today because like I said, I want to put that in a whole separate video. First up is manual fire. You can see we're set to channel 1. This is channel 1. Let's manually fire some cues. Let's go ahead and start with 18. So you notice 18 is fired. You'll notice it synced up right here. Let's go with 17. You see 17 fired. And you'll notice that the last cue we pushed is going to continue blinking, and the previous cues we fired are going to stay red. So let's go ahead and fire 16, drop down to 15, and 14. Okay, so we manually fired these cues, all right? Now, let's say we want to fire those 4 cues. Let's go ahead and switch up to channel 2, and we want to manually fire cues 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll notice they're all coming up here, and they're all staying on here, 5, 6. However, okay, now let's go back to channel 1. Well, let's just go ahead and start with Q1 and fire it. Well, if you don't want to go press Q1, 2, 3, 4, 5 all the way down, you can just use step. Step starts at 1, okay? So you press step, starts at 1, goes to 2, goes to 3, goes to 4. So you could actually just step fire through the entire show if you'd like, because once you get to the end, I'll show you what it does. Okay, we're on 17, 18. You'll notice it went up to the next channel. So you can literally step fire through this channel as well. And watch what it does right here, all right? Goes to channel 3. So we'll go up to the next channel. So the third fire you can do is called a sequence fire or auto fire. What you do is you press auto fire. You'll notice it displays an S. That's start. So let's start at Q10. And we're going to end on, let's just go with 18, okay? E18. This number right here is the delay between each cue. So we set it at 1 second. You can go down to 0.1 or a tenth of a second and go all the way up to 99 seconds. Let's just stick at 1 second just to show you guys. Yeah, all right, let's go to 1 second. So now let's press auto fire and just watch right here, okay? Notice there's a second delay between each cue. Okay, so let's go up to channel 4. Let's try that again. We're going to go ahead and this time and turn up the delay a little bit. Let's go up to 5, and you can actually hold this down and it skips fast. Let's go to auto fire. Let's go Q4 through Q10, all right? Auto fire. And you notice now we got a 5-second delay between each cue. So you can actually do some very intricate stuff with this and have a lot of fun doing so. So that's everything about the Cobra firing system. If you guys enjoyed the video, leave a like. If you want to see a range test and a small demo, leave a comment down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next week.